The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town. Grey and imposing, it loomed over the other houses like a watchful giant. Locals called it the Whispering House, but only in hushed tones. Some said it was cursed, others haunted. All agreed it was best avoided. The house had stood empty for decades, its windows like vacant eyes staring out at the world. The paint peeled from its walls, and vines like skeletal fingers reached towards the sky. The yard, once meticulously maintained, was now a tangle of overgrown weeds and gnarled trees. The iron gates, rusted and hanging askew, seemed to warn visitors away. The wind whistled through the gaps in the eaves, creating strange, mournful sounds that echoed through the empty rooms. It was the sound of the house breathing, some said, the sound of it whispering its secrets to the night. Clara, new to the town, was immediately drawn to the Whispering House. Its air of mystery intrigued her. While others saw a decaying relic, she saw a story waiting to be told. She had always been drawn to the unknown, the whispers of the past. One crisp autumn afternoon, unable to resist the lure of the Whispering House any longer, Clara decided to venture up the hill. Ignoring the warnings of the townsfolk, she told herself it was just an old house, nothing to be afraid of. She would be the one to uncover its secrets. As she pushed open the creaking gate, a murder of crows took flight from the dead oak by the gate, their raucous cries echoing through the stillness. Clara felt a shiver run down her spine, a prickle of unease, but she pressed on. The air inside the house was heavy with the scent of decay. Dust motes danced in the slivers of light that pierced the gloom. Cobwebs draped the furniture like ghostly shrouds. Clara wandered through the rooms, each one seemingly frozen in time. A half-finished game of chess lay on a table in the parlour. A child's doll lay abandoned on the floor of a dusty nursery. It was as if the house's former occupants had simply vanished into thin air. As she explored, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. The hair on the back of her neck prickled, every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves against the windows sent a jolt of fear through her. As dusk began to fall, casting long shadows through the house, Clara heard a sound that made her blood run cold. It was a whisper, soft and indistinct, coming from the shadows at the end of the hallway. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. She strained to hear, but the whisper faded into silence. Had she imagined it? The house was full of strange noises after all. As she cautiously made her way down the hallway, the whisper came again, this time closer. It seemed to slither around her, chilling her to the bone. It was a name, she realized, though she couldn't quite make it out. Whose name was the house whispering? Section 5. The Eyes That Follow. Clara continued her exploration, drawn deeper into the house's embrace. She discovered a room at the end of a narrow hallway, its door slightly ajar. Curiosity overcame her apprehension, and she cautiously pushed the door open. The room was dimly lit, the only source of light coming from a single dust-covered window. As her eyes adjusted to the gloom, she realized with a gasp that the walls were covered in portraits. But these were no ordinary paintings. The eyes of the people in the portraits seemed to follow her every move, their painted gazes filled with a strange intensity. She felt a cold hand close around her heart, a sense of dread settling over her like a shroud. It was as if the house itself was watching her, judging her. Section 6. Trapped Within. Panic welled up inside Clara. She had to get out of this house, had to escape the oppressive atmosphere and the watchful eyes of the portraits. She turned to leave, but the door, which had swung open so easily before, was now shut tight. Frantically, she rattled the doorknob, but it wouldn't budge. She was trapped. The whisper came again. this time right next to her ear, sending a shiver down her spine. It was the same name she had heard before, but this time she understood. "Clara," the voice whispered, its tone both mournful and menacing. "Clara, you should not be here." Chapter 7. The Night of the Storm. Night fell and a fierce storm raged outside. The wind howled like a banshee, and rain lashed against the windows of the Whispering House. Clara huddled in a corner of the room, terrified by the storm and the unseen presence that seemed to surround her. The whispers grew stronger, swirling around her like the wind, taunting her with their secrets. They spoke of tragedy, of betrayal, of a darkness that clung to the house like a shroud. Clara covered her ears, trying to block out the voices, but it was no use. Then, through the roar of the storm, she heard another sound. Footsteps. Slow, heavy footsteps coming up the stairs. Someone or something was coming for her. Section 8 vanished. The doorknob rattled, and Clara shrank back against the wall, her heart pounding in her chest. The door creaked open, revealing a figure shrouded in shadow. Clara screamed, a primal scream of terror that echoed through the empty house. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the storm ceased. The wind died down, the rain stopped, and an eerie silence descended upon the Whispering House. The figure in the doorway vanished, and Clara was left alone in the darkness. Trembling with fear, she stumbled out of the room and into the hallway. She had to get out of this house, had to escape the horrors that lurked within its walls. But as she made her way downstairs, she realized with growing horror that she was completely lost. Section 9. The Search. The next morning, when Clara didn't return home, her family went looking for her. They followed her trail to the Whispering House, their hearts heavy with dread. They called her name, their voices echoing through the empty rooms, but there was no answer. The townspeople searched for days, combing through the house and the surrounding woods, but they found no trace of Clara. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Some whispered that the house had finally claimed another victim, its hunger for souls never satisfied. As the days turned into weeks, the search was eventually called off. Clara's disappearance remained a mystery, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked at the edge of town. Section 10. The Whispering House Remains. The Whispering House still stands on the hill overlooking the town, a silent sentinel to the secrets it holds. Some say that if you listen closely on a quiet night, you can still hear the whispers, the voices of those the house has claimed. And some say that on stormy nights when the wind howls and the rain lashes against the windows, you can still see a flicker of light in the window of the room where Clara was last seen. A ghostly reminder of the young woman who dared to uncover the secrets of the Whispering House and paid the ultimate price. The house remains a source of fear and fascination, a testament to the enduring power of the unknown. And the whispers continue, carried on the wind, a chilling reminder that some stories are best left untold.